Good day, everybody. How's it going? Meister here. Welcome back to Bixton, and we have a ton of work to do this episode. But before we get into anything, I just want to highlight some feedback that was provided on my last Bixton episode in regards to the train modifications that we had done. And this comment comes from ASDF26110, where he was challenging my idea to, let's check here, train line, view details. So this new orange train line here that runs from Les Deux Lacs to downtown Bixton. So I made the decision to boost up our assigned vehicles to 4. And ASDF says if there's only 124 people on a train, that means that the frequency of trains is too much. I should be letting my trains fill up more. So right now we can see that there's not a ton of people waiting around. There's probably a train that just left, but I've observed how this station has been functioning over the last little while, and there's never more than like 200 people waiting at this station at one time. On like a really busy time, it'll get to like 200 people max. And if we click on a train here, oh, actually, there's an orange train coming in. We can see how many passengers. Yeah, so there's only 13 passengers out of 840 on this train. So this means that the frequency of trains is a little too high. I should be providing less trains, which will in turn make them fill up more and cause less congestion on these lines. Because as we were talking about at some point in the last episode, this main line here running kind of north to south on this map is just so congested, with both passenger rail and freight rail sharing the same line. So of course everything is just going to get bottlenecked here and grind to a halt. So thank you so much, ASDF, for your comment. You make a very valid point. I wasn't even considering, I guess, putting less frequent trains. My concern was I didn't want to have these people waiting around too long for a new train. So you're actually better off having less frequent trains coming in and out of a station and letting them fill up more versus having frequent trains and having very few passengers at all, because I hadn't even considered what it would do to the traffic situation along these lines. Not only that, had I actually managed my train lines perfectly, I probably wouldn't even need this extra rail yard. But it's too late now. The rail yard is there. It's functioning just fine. And I mean, the rail network is going to expand eventually anyways. So even if I do optimize all my train lines, I am going to be adding new lines and new stations along the way. So eventually we would have needed that rail yard anyways. So what I would like to focus on this episode is yet again trains. And I would love to solve this congestion issue that we have along this main rail line here. So I'm going to be dividing up the rail network. We're going to have a separate freight rail line and a passenger rail line to kind of spread the load. So what I am going to start by doing is I am going to start a second rail line. So what I'm going to start by doing is pausing the game, because we are going to be making a really big mess throughout this episode. So I'm actually going to start by deleting this entire path, because we have a ton of modifications to do here. And another point that I want to focus my attention on is this level crossing here. This obviously has to go. So we're going to be managing that in this episode. So I'm just going to be going through here, demolishing all of these paths. And I'm basically going to go as far as I can. So probably up to... I'm going to stop here because we have a ton of like bridges and underpasses and things like that, and like just this segment of track took me like an hour to build. So I'm gonna stop things right there, and we're going to get back to that in a sec. So let's go back to the very beginning of our line. And the reason why I destroyed everything is because I just want to run a brand new set of track, but in parallel mode. And I'm going to set everything as close as possible. And hopefully we're going to get everything to fit. So let's start this off. I'm going to connect up this set of tracks. And I'm going to attempt to line things up as best I can with the old set of tracks that were there before. Now, what I want to do is, let's do the rails on the right will be mostly for cargo, and then on the left will be for passenger. And if you guys are wondering what I mean by the BABE system on the thumbnail, it stands for the Bixton, Auburn, and Burroughs Expressway. And this was a suggestion from a viewer a little while ago on what to name the rail network. Okay, oops, I did not want to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to demolish this overpass for now, and then I'll have to reconstruct it. And you know what, guys? I am not really concerned too much monetary-wise, because I have, like, unlimited funds at this point, so not really concerned too much. So I'm going to bring this in just like so. We'll have this turn. Now we got to our level crossing here, so I'm gonna have to destroy quite a bit of infrastructure once again. Really, actually, I might not even have to, because I can probably just drag this stretch of road a bit more towards the center. I'm gonna try not to demolish all of these houses, or all these businesses rather, but that's going to not be an easy task, I think. So I'm gonna dump this road probably to about there. And then I think some of these businesses are gonna have to get the boot. Probably like all of these. And all of these businesses are gonna have to go. And then what I'll do here is I'm gonna rejoin these two tracks. Probably at about this point, I think. And is this going to work? Is it really going to be that easy? Oh my god, guys, look at that. It truly was that easy. It just took a little bit of anarchy, that's all. Here, I'm even going to lower this stretch of road a bit more. We, of course, don't want trucks scraping their roofs on the bottom of the bridge. Gonna have to destroy a bit more. And there we go. I think we're all lined up. So let's carry on now. Now I think this road is fine with a level crossing. It's not, well, yeah, it is looking like a pretty high traffic area. You know what I might want to do here is have this whole... Maybe what I'll do here is make this into an overpass. Yeah, it looks like this road might have a couple of issues with the terrain, but that's okay because I am going to build a retaining wall right here. There we go. That looks pretty cool. And then I think if I go back into my roads, is it going to be as simple as that? Apparently so. Look at that, guys. That is wonderful. So easy. So easy. It's incredible. There. I'll just re-add my industry zone. There. So those businesses will rebuild. And oof, it looks like we're going to go through a pretty tight corridor here. Let's see how well we can get these tracks to fit. Shall we? So we're going to go through here. Oh yeah, I think that's not going to be a problem. Turn off anarchy so we can get that extra precision. And here we go. So how am I going to get myself situated here? Because we have two parallel set of tracks running through here. And of course I want all of these tracks to be accessible to this rail yard. So I'm gonna have to make like a couple of intersections, I think, between these tracks. So there might be some crossover between some of the freight trains and the passenger trains, but that's okay because the only cross-contamination is going to come from traffic going to and from these rail yards, I think. That's the hope, anyway. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to start off over here. Let's turn off anarchy. Or snapping, I mean. And we're going to leave anarchy on because I'm going to have to squeeze these tracks right through. Oh my god, guys. This is wild what we're doing right now. This is crazy. There. So I'm going to squeeze by this rail yard between the road just like that. And you know what? I think we might even want to add some sort of barrier between the road and these rails here. But this does not look unrealistic at all. This is really nice. I'm surprised by how everything is fitting together. So yeah, I'm going to remove these tracks, this as well. All right, so now we are at this point. And this, guys, was a challenge to get right. It's still not perfect. Like, there's... yeah, like you can see here, the transition is not really working out that well. And this whole section of track, I kind of have an issue with because the terrain is very steep here, and it shouldn't be. So we might have to modify the terrain a bit more to get these slopes to be smoother. But let's see what we're gonna do here. I think I'm gonna start on this end because I think we might have better luck. So I am going to and you know, I think when this was built, we did not have access to move it. So this would have been built with like just using the default game, like no mods or anything. So that's why this was such a challenge, because these rails actually had to fit and there was no ifs, ands, and buts. So maybe we can have a bit more leeway with the set of mods that I'm playing with here. But let's start off with this segment of track. I'm just going to connect this up just like so. It doesn't look too bad. And then let's do the same over here. Now I think from the looks of it, and touching this overpass is non-negotiable, guys. I know this is just going to be a mess if I start moving pillars and things like that, or moving bridges. But actually that gets me thinking, can I move pillars? What is this? Oh, okay, it's a bush. I can't move pillars, but I can move these nodes, which in turn moves the pillars. So maybe I can get something to work here, because it looks like we're gonna have to do some sort of S-turn through this overpass. So let's try it out. We have anarchy on, so really I could just do whatever I want. Nothing's gonna stop me from putting these tracks through here. But I think we might just be able to get it to work. The only thing is we are likely going to have to destroy part of this neighborhood. And I mean, I might just destroy the whole thing because nobody is gonna want a train track running right through their backyard anyways, so I think the demolition of that neighborhood is going to be all in the name of public transportation, so it won't be in vain. So I'm going to run this right by this pillar. I think, let's try if I can remove anarchy. Oh yeah, look at that, it still works wonderfully. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave anarchy on because there is a pillar that is slightly in the way. Let's just take a look here. Woo, that pillar is pretty close, but I think it's just going to clear. I think we might be okay. We'll have to see how the trains are running through here. But now let's maybe start off with just this block of buildings. No, that's not gonna work. I think this whole thing's gonna have to go, guys. It's unfortunate, but you know what? I think there's going to be a bit of empty space here for maybe a park or something like that. Maybe I can just extend this open space here, which honestly, I feel like I have to do something here. It's kind of just like wasted space. You know, what a perfect opportunity for like a big old interchange or something here. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So what I'll do here is I'm going to try to see if I can get away with just scooching this section of road over. It looks like that might actually work. And then I'm going to flatten the terrain around here. Anyway, I'll fix that in a little bit. So now I'm going to delete this section of track. And now the next challenge is going to be shoving this rail under this bridge. And it actually looks like we might just have enough room if I demolish this set of tracks. The slope was like so steep there anyways. It needed to be revamped no matter what. So I'm gonna delete all of this, the whole thing. And then what I'll do is create a realistic slope from probably about this height to the, I guess like this height. And let's see what this will give us. Yeah, so just as I thought, we're going to dip into the terrain a little bit. And there we go. So not really sure how realistic this slope is going to be, but it is definitely better than what we had before. I am going to flatten the terrain probably from about this height all the way down to the river. Just like this. And then I'm going to elevate the terrain here as well as here. And at which point we will work our way back down to ground level. So that means I'm going to rebuild these sections of track as well. And I think this is going to be a bit more realistic too. You know, instead of having like one long bridge, it might be a bit more economical in certain situations to just have like two small bridges. So we're going to go ahead with that. Slight curve like this. There we go, guys. That is wonderful. And then what I'll do here is, will this work along this section of rail? Oh yeah, look at that. And then let's flatten this out. That is so cool, guys. That looks amazing. So I think I made my turn a little too sharp here. Let's try that again. I think I can probably just keep this pair of rails just straight. Yeah, just like that. There we go. And now we got to connect this up to this pair of rails. So I'm going to just remove these segments. We'll connect all of that up in just a moment. And I'm going to bring it out just a bit farther. And then I think if we turn this in just like that, boom, there we go, guys. And I don't think we have any crazy slopes, anything like that. I think we're in good shape. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect up my rail yard to this pair of tracks, and we're just gonna have to be cognizant that there is now 2 sections of rail that are gonna need access to the rail yard, right? So what we'll have to do is maybe somewhere along the line we're gonna have to have like a little intersection like this. Honestly, I think that works. So now trains coming from this rail yard, for example, they can come up this line and then they'll be fed into this line here, but then they can cross over to the freight rail line. So I think that works out quite nicely. So now let's connect up these single tracks yet again. And I think I can just follow the same schematics, just like that. And then over here as well, I'm just gonna do the exact same thing. Then I think I have these single tracks here. Hey guys, let me know in the comments. I haven't really figured this one out yet. So, you know, there's all of these warehouses and whatnot. So what actually goes along these single tracks? I don't think I've ever seen any trains come along here. Is this just for show, or does it actually serve a purpose? Let me know if you guys noticed anything in your City Skylines 2 adventures. But there we have it. That is our rail yard. Now, I think I'm gonna... Now, one thing that I'm gonna do here is I am going to remove all of the trees that are within this rail yard because, you know, I've been thinking it's probably not the most realistic thing to have so many trees in a rail yard. So I'm gonna replace all of these trees with shrubs. Oh, but I guess some trees are part of the actual building, so maybe it's not as unrealistic as what I thought. But anyways, let's remove this, and then what I'm going to do now is repopulate all of this with some... Oh crap, that is not at all what I wanted to do. There. I'm gonna turn off anarchy, and I'm just gonna repopulate all of this with some small bushes, wild green bush. I know these are gonna grow into like some huge almost trees, but that's okay. For now, they'll be nice and small. Okay, so now we have our airport rail. This, I'm just gonna feed it right back into the freight rail, although I don't think there's any passenger rail going through here, is there? Well, there's nothing going through at the moment. Because there is no... The rail is completely non-existent. It is currently impossible to get here from pretty much anywhere. But that's okay. This is not a big problem because I can just create these little intersections at any point. So like, for example, I can maybe build like a little intersection like this. I didn't even need move it to do that. Or anarchy, sorry. And now we have this single track. So this is coming from the Auburn station. And this is another thing. What am I going to do with this situation? I think I'm going to have to replace... What kind of lines do I have running through here? I don't think I have anything at the moment. All we have is this freight rail. Yeah, you know what? I think that's it, guys. There's basically nothing. Well, I mean, there's this cargo train that might be running through the city. So, but we don't have any actual lines coming through here. So what I'll do is connect this single track. And then I am going to build another intersection. I think I'll just use anarchy. There. Oh shoot, no, I should have built it in the other direction, I think. So we want to have intersections going in either direction, right? So we're going to want trains to be able to jump to this set of tracks to go into the rail yard. Whew, all right. So now I can connect up these two. Connect this up, back again. Things are looking good over here, and I am going to rebuild my overpass, and that should work out. Oh, do we have a pillar in the way? No, we don't. We're good. Same thing over here. Awesome. And then, yes, we have another intersection running through here. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect up these two set of tracks here, because there's virtually no traffic that is going to be along this set of tracks. And if there is, I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem, because they're not like weaving in and out of each other. I think this is going to be just fine. So, yeah, so let's do that. Now we have our passenger rail coming through here. Now this might be of concern because the passenger rail coming from Les Deux Lacs runs along this track, and it intersects with the cargo rail. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is demolish this, and then I really want to avoid weaving, so I think we're going to have to build a mini interchange here. So I'm going to delete these tracks, and then I'm going to space these out just like so, and then bring them back in. Oh, that might make for a really tight curve, so I'm going to redo that just a bit smoother. Yeah, that's not bad. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump up to, I don't know, maybe about that high. And I'm going to build an overpass. I'm going to build a mini train interchange here. Oh wow, I could have just kept this rail going straight and it would have been perfect. There, so I think I might have to elongate this section of track. But let's give this a try. So what if I turn off anarchy? Can this actually work? It most certainly does. Wow, look at that, guys. Incredible. And this kind of interchange I've noticed a lot of in Europe. You know, you actually have like these rail interchanges. They just kind of like, you have a bunch of rail, all different heights, and you know, things get pretty crazy over there, you know. There, we're just gonna smooth this out, make it look all nice. How's about that, guys? That is going to be so efficient. This is crazy. Cool. We just have a spaghetti mess of trains here. It's wild. All right, so let's just run through here. Everything is looking good so far. Now we're going to make our way back to this crazy intersection over here. So I think I should be able to just connect everything up. Hopefully this goes well. But I think I'm going to move this section of track over just a little bit. And it's going to set me up for a better curve. Not bad for a rookie. There, and I think I'm gonna demolish this because we're dealing with a little bit of an elevation here. So, oops, nope. I want to bring this down to the same level as over here. So now let's fix that up. Sweet. Look at that, guys. Now, I know there's passenger rail coming through here in this section of track, and there's also freight, so there's both. But this can be solved by just creating a little intersection like this. And it looks a little wonky because I know we're dealing with a slope. Maybe if I bring it out this way. Oh, that's even worse. Well, actually, we have all of this length to play with, and I think the terrain is relatively flat here. So I think maybe if I do my little intersection, yeah, that's quite all right. And you know what? Just for good measure, I'm going to build a second one in the other direction as well. There. Just in case I'm forgetting something. All right, and then last but not least, we have this segment of rail that I think I'm going to have to do kind of the same thing as what I did just a minute ago. Yeah, because we are dealing with quite a slope. So what I'll do is select from here to, oh yeah, now we have some pillars in the way. I think I can probably manage to squeeze it right into here. So let's bring it in just like this. Oh yeah, look at that, guys. I can make like a whole interchange actually. You know what? I think I might even gonna delete this. Here, let's start it off from here and then bring it all the way to here. And does this actually work? Yeah, that is actually going to work. Look at that big mess of rail lines going everywhere, but it works. So I'm okay with that. And I think I'm just going to have to move this over ever so slightly. Hopefully that's not gonna... Nope. Slope is still perfect. There we go, guys. That is wonderful. Look at that. Now, I guess I'm not gonna rebuild this park just yet. I'll focus on that in another episode. But holy crap, guys. This is awesome. And I think we got everything, do we? Okay, guys, well, that is all done, this whole segment. Now there is one last challenge that we need to overcome, and I think this is going to be the hardest part yet. I need to double our tracks from this segment over here to just about over here, where it becomes double once again, because this track here, this is like the main artery going right through the city. We have passenger rail going through here, a ton of freight as well. So this is probably the more critical piece of track that we're going to have to address. Now, this means that we're going to have to demolish a lot of infrastructure in the downtown area. But, you know, as unrealistic as you could claim it to be, it is necessary, in my opinion. Now, I think, do I really want to destroy everything and do it again with the double tracks? I think so. I'm pausing the game. Let's do it. There, so we're going to demolish everything right up to over here. So let's go back into parallel mode. We're going to set it to the minimum, 0.25 meters. And let's do it. Let's see how this is going to end up. Oh my god, guys. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to start on this side, just because I'm going to have to line those curves up a bit later. So let's elevate this to 10 meters. I'm going to turn off snapping. And I just know that there's a ton of buildings that are going to get affected by this. But it's okay. It's all in the name of progress. So let's do this. And then let's turn on anarchy. And even with anarchy on, I think my roads are actually playing nice. So if I can get this rail to get as close as possible to this bridge. Uh-oh. Yeah, these pillars are kind of messed up. Okay, carrying on now. I don't think these office buildings are going to survive, guys. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. But let's just see. Let's just see what this might look like. So, yeah, no, that's gonna be tough. So I'm gonna turn off anarchy. Let's bring this up to, you know, I could probably start going down a little bit, 6.25 meters. I don't have anarchy on, so this works. And there we have it. No more big skyscraper. Although we still have some office zones here, so potentially we can have another building that will sprawl up. This parking lot is going to have to go as well. And now we have this section of track. Now this might be a little bit of an unrealistic slope, but let's see here if we can maybe manage anyways. Now over here, these two overpasses, they do not have any columns in the way, so I think this should be fairly straightforward. So I'm going to demolish this, and then I'm going to go back into parallel mode. We'll have a little bit of a gap to fill, but that's okay. And then let's slope all the way back down to 0. Can we get this to fit? I think we can. We even have anarchy off. Yeah, I think that might actually work, but I'm going to turn anarchy on just because I know it's probably going to kind of screw around with this road. Because sometimes if you're less than 10 meters in elevation above a road, it makes a kind of bump over it. But I think that's still a realistic height. And to be completely honest, guys, I think this whole thing is going to look so much cooler with 2 lines of rail running through. You know, there's just like a massive arterial section of road and rail, and everything's going through here. So I think it looks pretty cool. Uh-oh, yeah, we got to be careful here. There. All right, and now let's continue on. 0 meters. Okay, there we go, guys. I think everything is good to go. Now, I've noticed as I was building this, once I got everything connected, check this out. Boom! All of my routes are still existing. Now, I think this is just because I have all of these stops running throughout the city, and the game does have some form of pathfinding, so as long as things are connected together, we should be okay. But there we have it, guys. All of the entire rail network is connected. However, I am just noticing one thing. I need to build another one of these little intersections, just like that, just to allow trains to jump from one track to another. And there we go. So I'm about to hit play, and we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to skip ahead a few minutes. We're going to let things play out. We're going to let the trains get all settled in, and you know, I'm sure the tracks are going to be a little bit of a fuster cluck for the next little while. You know, trains need to figure out where they are, just like this guy. And we'll let things play out, and then I'll go ahead and reconfigure some of my lines. I'll maybe add some trains on some lines, maybe remove trains on others. I think I'm probably going to end up removing some trains on all of the lines running throughout the city. All right, everybody, it has been a few minutes, and I've been closely monitoring the Babe network over the last little while, and I can confidently say, after making all of these modifications, the network is functioning so much better. It's like night and day. So, like I explained earlier, we have our freight line on the right here, our passenger rail lines on the left, completely separated from one another, and it is just functioning great. Now, we do occasionally have some passenger rail lines along the same side as freight, but that's okay. What determines that is the location of a stop on this main station here. Because we have so many platforms, some trains are just going to end up on different tracks. But, you know, nonetheless, everything is functioning so much better. It's crazy. Now, I've also gone ahead and I went through all of my different lines here. Why is this not coming up? I've gone through all of my train lines. I've renamed them, I've recolored them, and I've also optimized them. So I've gone through each and every one of these lines, and I've either reduced the amount of trains or I've assigned new ones to each line. Mostly reduced because the rail network is not getting as much use as I thought it would. I think that's just a matter of having so many public transportation options. We've got trains, we've got a pretty robust subway system, we've got an infinite amount of bus stops and bus lines, that, you know, it doesn't really make too much sense to take a train to go elsewhere in the city. But the option is there, and we at least solved this massive congestion issue that we were dealing with earlier. So I'm happy, everything is functioning good. Now, one more thing that I need to take care of, however, is the main train station here is still seeing some congestion. Sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 trains waiting along these lines here. And the reason for that is we just don't have enough platforms to support the traffic. So what I'm going to do here is add an extra platform, and I'm going to pause the game real quick, and I am going to scooch over a couple of lines here. So I think I'm going to do maybe this yellow one. I'm just going to scooch it over to this side, and I might actually do this dark blue line if I can grab it. That's easier said than done. This is not very intuitive. Oh, there we go. There, I think I'm gonna do that. And that should fix us up. So now we'll have a bit more redundancy. And I really want to leave this third line as a pass-through. I'm not gonna assign any stops to it. I just want cargo trains to be able to freely go through here without any congestion. So I think that should do it. Now, this train station is seeing a fair bit of use. Almost 500 passengers waiting at the moment. That does include a subway line running through here. Which brings me to another topic. I want to completely revamp the subway system in Bixton because it's kind of a jumbled mess right now, and I think I can do a better job. But that'll be for another episode. Now, with that being done, guys, that concludes this episode in optimizing the whole rail network. And like I was saying, I mean, I think this is a pretty successful episode, and yeah, on to the next big project. So let me know, guys, down in the comment what you think of what I've built this episode. Let me know if you have any criticism, or if you would have done anything differently, or if there's anything I can improve on. Let me know down below, I'm curious. And if you enjoyed this episode, as usual, drop a like, and certainly don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of future uploads. Thanks again so much for tuning in, guys. Until the next one, take care.